Shalom, everybody. I'm back. So I had to come deliver a download that the mother had been working with me on. Yeah. Hi, baby. And so first of all, I mean, I get close. Okay. So first of all, I'm just gonna bless this space and may truth reign supreme through the message that I came to deliver because it is very important in the timeline that we in. I want y'all to look at my shirt. It says New York, right? But pay attention to the color of the writing. Now, moving on from that, I have this card in the background because it is the Lions Gate, right? Gloria, because this is actually very important and pivotal and it ties into the lesson I'm coming to bring. But first things first, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the evolution. The mother has arrived and she has declared the evolution is here. So let's see. With this photo that's behind me, you see if it's behind me. Hopefully it's behind me. If it ain't, whatever. But so it's the Fortitude card, which is the eighth card in the Torah deck. Okay. I'm saying Torah deck because it's the original hierarchical way to read hieroglyphics is through photos. Okay. Now, this is a female. We can say this is Judith. We can also say segment. Okay. And we can say the lion is the Christ, or should we say the Messiah or the divine masculine, right? This can be multiple meanings and it can be interpreted in a multitude of ways. But for what the mother gathered me to do today, I'm going to go about it the way she told me, right? Because we know she the source and she did what the hell she wants to. So let's break down the meaning of this card. In her hand, and I specifically picked this tarot deck because it is the Hermetic tarot deck. Um, Another key factor into this timeline thing that we got going on. And so as you see, above her head is in one hand, which I would say would be the left hand, is she is pouring out fire. And in the right hand, she is holding on to the lion's head or petting the lion's head or whatever you want to call it, right? Then we know that the lion is symbolic as well as the illuminating light within your chakras, right? Because Leo, right? We went over this in many lessons when I did my seven seals, seven chakras lessons. I talked about the definition of who can render the prayer, who can arouse the lioness of Judah, and allow the seals to be open, right? Now, what I've come to terms with for this sake of time, what we're talking about in regards to the evolution is the frequency, right? Because years ago on this channel, I told y'all about the frequency and how the mothership was already here and so on and so forth. So all that you're hearing now about these buzz, these different comments entering into our solar system from an interstellar place, I already said all of this on my channel because I told you the mothership was already here. And I also told you we're in a different solar system. Now, they telling y'all this comment thing came into our solar system. And we know we live in a world of backwards, right? So what they tell you is usually the opposite, or it's only some truth and not all of it. So glory be to the Most High, because I was elated to figure this part out because I feel like right now it's so much going on to keep us distracted. They got the shutdown coming. It's so many different things, right? But I want to let y'all know. Let me take the picture back down. First, let me analyze the picture a little bit for you in detail. So this is the lunar north node up here in the corner above her head. That is symbolic of your destiny or your fortune or whatever. This card in the Hermetic Tarot deck is called the Fortitude card. However, in a traditional deck, it would be referred to as the Strength card. I've also spoken about this card before in my deck as well. But in this particular time, I want to emphasize on the lunar north node because the moon we currently see right now is not the true moon. The true moon lies within descendants of Mu, right? Mu, moon, Mu, get it. So this lunar north node is telling you that there's the destiny. This is involving your destiny, this card in particular. And we could say the flower is the new beginning because we know that 8 makes an infinity loop. His daughter. We also know that in a traditional deck, this strength card would have the woman with a infinity loop over her head. You want to get out? And so she's also pouring out fire. And we know that when the flood came this time, like the days of Noah, it would be fire. And I've told y'all on my channel before, the mother is an elemental state, so she is multiple. She the source. So it's not just one flame for her. What you know as fire, the frequency that you get when you bring heat together, right? In the rising is also a cosmic element, which can be more than one. It can be formatted in more than one way. Okay. So keep this in mind. This 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 tarot card that I just went over, because we know that the real Lionsgate, shout out to Abdullah for giving that drop. The real Lionsgate is actually not the way they tell it to you, right? We know it's actually the 8th month. October means 8. Okay, so I'm going to read to y'all something out of the Keys of Enoch. Bear with me, so I make sure it's the right one. Mama, I'm gonna start out in key. It's 211 actually, and pay attention to the numbers because 2 and 1 make 4, which is half of 8. It's 1/2 of the infinity loop. Okay, 2 and 11 make 4 when you break it down. Okay, so let me make sure I got y'all right. This okay. Sorry, I got y'all the wrong one. We good. Okay, so I'm gonna read it out of my book just because. All right. So this is okay. What? Oh, got it. So this is key to 11. I'm gonna read to y'all out of this key because it's a very pivotal key. Remember, I told y'all this 211 number is it's multiple ways, but it's 4. 4 is also the heart space. Okay, so the fullness of the heart space is the divine union of the mother and the father. But I'm gonna show y'all in this book how it's broken down scientifically, and I'm also tie it into why they're telling you about these interstellar comments called Atlas. Okay, at last. Okay, so the keys to the future weights and measures are given in the light vibrations of the sacred names, which are the weights and measures of our molecular universe, tracing energy into other universes. The function of the meta, the wavelength prefix for knowledge of the next universe, will be extended through wavelengths in the sacred name Metatron. Now, Metatron is actually the divine mother, but she's the source. So when we speaking about her, we're talking about all of her aspects, which can also be masculine. So we know that Metatron, well, maybe we don't know. Let me slow down. For those of y'all who don't know, Metatron is the Kether. All right, I'm about to show you. Show you real quick. This is the Book of Angels that I have right here. And I'm gonna just read a little bit real quick so we can know who Metatron is. I'm also gonna read to you the definition of the keys of Enoch based on what the keys of Enoch says it. Because I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of like the way certain things are explained in the keys of Enoch. All right, so Metatron is the first archangel in the tree of life. We can look that up on Google or whatever you want to do. And we know the first at the very top of the tree is Kether, the first Sephiroth. Now we know that Kether, multiple, but for the sake of what we're doing right now, I'm gonna read this. All right, so Kether represents the breath of God that creates our universe. It represents the creative will and the source of the will as a whole. Boom. Didn't I just hold on? What they tell you happened in the Bible when it talks about the creation story, it tells you that what is it? I think it says God breathed into Adam to bring him to life. That's what it said at least. Okay. And so it says the breath of God that creates our universe, it represents the creative will and the source. So the will is the action of whatever the source it comes from. Whatever that will might be, could be whatever. And then it says, I'm gonna read it again. It represents the creative will and the source of will as a whole. It symbolizes original fire. Hearts of fire. Y'all know I like to get it. Nah, but okay, so the original fire. In that picture I showed y'all when I started, it was the mother pouring out fire. But for some reason, beneath her, where the fire was supposed to land, the lion was there unfazed. Now, Hope, when we look at the picture that I showed you with her having the lion, her hand was in the air. So the fire was coming from the air, just like they told you, or they tell you in the Bible that it will be with fire this time, right? And we know that fire can be gamma radiation, plasmic protons, atoms. Many things can spark fire in the ether, okay? And then it says this center of life is symbolically manifested by the planet Neptune, which represents the spiritual inspiration of the divine plan. Daughter. Hi, daughter. Okay. So I just wanted to read all that out of the Book of Angels, because I feel like that would give you a little more information on Metatron. Because if you ask me to explain it to you, which I believe I'm outside of space and time, so my explanation will be more detailed for you. But it's this is how I put it. The mother is the source in which all things come from, and the father is the enforcer or the manifestation out of that. But it just told you Metatron is outside and inside. Okay? Please don't scream, daughter. We don't need to scream right now. Okay. So let's get the metaphysical definition of it, and then I'll come back to where we're reading from, because I want y'all to know exactly who Metatron is before I get to telling y'all about the key of Metatron. Because that picture I just showed y'all was Metatron, the mother and the father, or the mother and the son. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so here's the definition out of the keys of Enoch on Metatron. I don't want that, daughter. You can have it. It says the garment of Shaddai. Now we know Shaddai is feminine. The visible manifestation. Hold on, wait. The garment. A garment is something you wear. Okay? The garment of light. The garment of Shaddai, the visible manifestation of the deity as garment of the Father. Almighty eternal Lord, and by divine voice of the Father, creator of the outer worlds, teacher and guide to Enoch, and the creator of the keys. Metatron is the creator of the electron. Oh my goodness, listen. We're gonna get this right all the way around, but these are some scriptures in which you will see Metatron be mentioned that might not name Metatron. And they're down below. Genesis, different verses in Genesis will show you Metatron, Numbers, Revelations, of course. And yeah, okay. So they just told you that's the mother and father, if you didn't know. So yeah, we'll leave that right there. And we'll move on to the page that I wanted to read from. Okay, so we're back to key 211, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. Dang, daughter, you dirtied up my book. All right, if we could align the energy focus of our field of intelligence with the next universe of higher intelligence, the direct communication or new vibratory wavelength would work with what the higher intelligence calls Metatronic energy. We're going to define electron real quick because I need y'all to be all the way in on this here because this is some powerful stuff. And honestly, when you say that the mother came here to evolve evolution, she's evolution. So when people think of what is it going to be like, what is this new earth, how is it going to come forth? What you need to know is it's every man to his order. So wherever your soul has worked to reach to get you to whatever destination your soul has gotten you to, right? Based on your works, but it also has a lot to do with your genetic DNA because biologically, I can't I can't physically be a male, right? On a basic three-dimensional level. So I can't change my biology in that aspect. And you can't change yours, but she can. She can evolve it into which it was originally supposed to be. Remember, your original flame. She turns that on through her mitochondria as we are watching it permeate the planet. Okay, so let's define electron. Electron. Can you stop, mommy? No, no, no. No, Patty.
Bluetooth connected.
Okay, so here is the definition of an electron. Electron is a subatomic particle. Okay, let's just define subatomic particle. It's a particle smaller than an atom. Okay, so this is telling you that if Eve being the element, there's many different elements, and we know because I showed y'all metaphysical Bible dictionary that Eve is the elements. That's when you hear the word element, it is talking about her. And when you hear the word atom, it is talking about her development, or should we say atom? Okay. All right. So it's telling you it's a smaller version of an atom, okay, on a subatomic particle whose electric charge is negative in one elementary charge. Remember, we're talking about the two infinite loops. So 8 is also a heart shape, by the way. Okay, so it says that compromises the ordinary matter that makes up the universe, along with up and down quarks. Did y'all hear that? Along with up and down quarks. Ascension, descension, evolution. Okay. Now we're gonna go back to that read because I wanted y'all to know what it was talking about when it said electrons, metatronic energy, because we know that Metatron is the electrons. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna jump down to verse 3. That's where I'm reading that next. So, yet for the most part, the people of this life station do not know the word meta means half-life function. You need the whole light, okay? So it is the mother in when we talk in terms of the source that it comes from, right? But we know the story of birth is creation and destruction. Only half of it is creation. Only half of it is destruction, but you do need both. Okay, so let's read that again. Sorry, I jumped ahead. By the way, I want to look at this, the fact that this number is 3. We know the half-life function of the physical manifestation is 3 because the full life is the 6 neurons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. But this is only half of it. This is why man can't work with the Metatronic energy yet. Okay. So it says, yet for the most part, people on this life station do not know that the word meta means the half-life function of the higher forces of energy. I'm not meta-linguistics, meta-mathematics, meta-Gnosticisms, all seek out the wisdom of the greater evolving universe. And yet all of these meta-sciences, hold on, let's see, are technological, hence limited in nature. They are not able to bring the reality of the universal energy down into the scientific experience of the material realities. Remember, science is just your 5 senses. So it is using fancy ass words to tell you most of humanity only functions with half of the functions. Hence the reason this is called the third dimension. It's a box. What is half of 6? 3. So only half of yourself is mostly operating general, and when we look in terms of general population. Okay. All right. It says they are all working with empirical half-lives. Do you see the word emperor? Hold on now. You need the definition of that word. I don't care if you know it. We need the vibration. Let's go to it. Okay. So for me, I have to define this word for multiple reasons because I like etymology. So even if you hear a word a million times, sometimes you need to look into break down meanings of the word itself. And so empirical, it says relying on or derived from observation or experiment. We know, according to the keys of Enoch, it's telling you that what we call Israel is an experiment or a program. We know the lower planes are experimental realms. So there's a hierarchy here governing the experiments. Empire seer, okay? So you have to be a seer of the empire to know where these laws come from. But this, when we talking about the word empirical, it does have a connection to empire, but we know most of the time empires are more of an outside governing source, right? Which would make sense because the father, in his aspect where they speak of him as Michael, he is the guardian of the outer realms. Catch Me Outside. That was his intro to y'all. Even though he's already here, that was a code trendy saying to let you know Michael's here. Okay, and so you gotta calm down, mommy. Okay, let's go back to the reading. This is the mother did her thing when she came down here and brought her representatives because this message is for the seers because really you got many with different job titles and different positions, but we the ones who were waiting on a certain signal to get here. Or should we say to awaken because it was already here, it's primal. Come on, you sit down, Mom. Okay. Now let's go back to the key to 11. I'm gonna share that. So basically, when you're thinking of an empire or the word emperor or empire, we're talking about a system. Empirical is a self system. Mama. Let's go back to this. Okay, and so, okay, listen, I'm jumping down to 5, and it says here Metatron's name appears in connection with Enoch. We know Enoch is the father. If you don't know, now you know. We know if he's the father, it's obviously the mother because we know Enoch. Enoch derives from the highest source of intelligence of all. So of course, he's a dual. So it says one who initiates into light. The ancient scrolls, hold on. In the ancient scrolls, his name also appears with the scriptures of Enoch, where cosmological accounts given of other life stations of intelligence. There is a story handed down in hidden mystical scrolls of light which tell us how in the darkness of primordial creation, Metatron brought the Father's plan of creation to the outer world by alphabets of light. All right. Man, this is crazy, but I'm not gonna go too far into this story, this part of it, but so 5 is a hierarchical number. Um, it's half of 10, which is telling you that there is a force, half of the force that is here to complete the task. So when you see father's plan and it's colored in yellow and orange, the reason for it, here, you want it? No? Okay. The reason for that is because the father, even though in a physical stance, he has the X and Y chromosome, he's the hidden X. Okay. Meaning that gamma radiation brings him to a wavelength frequency of an X and not a Y. We'll go into that in another story, but I had to say that part. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next page, verse 6. 6, very important number. We know 6 as the number of man, but also the number of manifestation. All right, so verse 6. Now this is gonna close your other half of the 3. So it says this original scroll, the weights and measures recorded by Enoch, was used for programming previous cycles of intelligence. So when you see that weights and measures, y'all bear with me. Okay, all right, so back to where I was at, my bad job. So we to the 6th, very important. 6th verse and the key to 11. I don't even, let me see where the page number. The page number is 272. I laugh because 72 angels and 72 on both sides. Oh, where did I, okay, here it is. All right, so let's start from the beginning. The original scroll, the weights and measures recorded by Enoch, was used for programming previous cycles of intelligence. But let me see. But it was lost to the knowledge of man after the energies of spiritual destruction inhabited and controlled the earth, desiring to use these spiritual truths with their technologies of death. Okay. So, in other words, this is the reason for justice, right? because the theory of Mayat is the ways and measurements. But what are we measured by? The 4. Remember, the half. Remember, Still Portion talked about times and times and a half. That is a whole different layer. But it's telling you about half of the 4, which is the 2 hearts. The 2 hearts meaning the mother and the father, or the divine feminine heart and the masculine. But let me go further to the 7th verse. So 7 is the perfection of the 2 4s being brought together as one, right? Or should we say the perfect harmony or the perfect balance? So it says, when the abominations of the earth spread throughout the nations, the original scroll was returned to the Father to be reissued at the end of this consciousness time cycle, when the remnant Adamic race will put on the body of the Adam Kadmon. Now is the time for the weights and the measures to return. What you being weighed by is your heart. And because your heart, if you are the aboriginal, or should we call you a starseed for lamer terms, you are connected to a higher intelligence or force, a higher heart. And this is where your soul takes its light to become its nuance. All right, let me see. And that's why the weights and measures, it's not really for no cliche small term when it comes to that. It's more so for your heart space, because love is evolution and it is intelligent light force, right? Same word being spelled. So I'm gonna jump down to verse 11. It's so 11 is Maya. However, a direct and literal, keep looking to that, direct and literal fulfillment of this original consciousness will take place with the return of higher intelligence, who will come down and spatialize this planetary creation as it goes into its next evolutionary link. Welcome, y'all, to where the mother said, if you don't return my seed correctly, this whole universe will stop. I won't nothing have nothing. Literally. So this is the electromagnetic node zone we're talking about. And in theory, it can be a bad symbol, but for a woman in midwifery or in doula work or in birth, just having a child, that means her cervix is paper thin, ready to deliver. Okay. Now let me where we at? 12. 12 is the 6 and the 6. Okay. So this is also the completion of the tree of life. This is where it flips. This is where your consciousness takes a flip. Or should we say hangs upside down like the hangman? This book contains keys to the opening of the Metatronic functions of creation, preparing mankind for the return of the masters to this plane, which is the completion of the halftime function. I just told y'all 12 on the 12th verse is completion of the 6. So this is where your consciousness takes its hanging. It's either going to stay suspended or it's going to evolve into the 13th, which is Ophiuchus, Sekhmet, and Amhotep. All right. So it says, as we see, oh wait, hold on. For the masters, for the return of the masters to this plane, which is the completion of the half-life function, no longer functioning in just the third dimension of what has already been prophesied. So this moment was already prophesied. As we move through the life spectrum, we relive the Book of Enoch, the original scroll explaining how the Elohim are the pillars and the towers directing creation. So we ain't talking about just creation. We're talking about the destruction too. Um, okay, and then in the rest of the verse, I don't need none of that. Okay, so it says, these new heavens are brought forth, and this is verse 16. These new heavens are brought forth in a special angelic alphabet of Metatron, known historically in the Kabbalah as the I writing. Wait a minute, we gotta get it. What they call that comment? 3I Atlas. Okay, we're gonna move on. Na. You like that, daughter? Feel dance. Okay, so I actually took that part off on accident, but that's okay because I'm gonna just read it out the book. So I accidentally deleted off my screen. So it says here, on verse 18. So it says, in regenesis of life, these sacred names are the weight and measures that are used by the family of God on earth. So we just heard the keys of Enoch tell you that this will happen on a direct and literal basis. So we sit on YouTube and we watch many different creators, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you go to get your information, and you in this technology, what this lower realm, you're watching different people give you different sparks or knowledge or whatever words you want to use. But in a literal sense, there is somebody with physical vessels manifesting the frequencies of the mother and the father. So there's a blueprint somewhere around here in y'all world. Hold on, my son just said. Okay, and so when y'all think about the family of God, everybody down here, everybody, all of the ones that you reading about, they're all down here in the physical avatar. Okay. So family of God. And let me tell you, the mother and the father both love all their children. We're gonna put it like that. So this is verse 19. We are going through the final omega level of consciousness, which has evolved through the millenniums from the alpha creation. This energy was first. No, you're gonna fall. No, you can't put that light right there. Okay, so it says through the level of alpha creation, this energy was first brought to focus and dispatched to this planet by a small family of masters who set up a domain in order to restore the fallen planetary consciousness to be in harmony with the Father's universe. And then it says in 21, thus the people of God act as a branch of God's family in their own local universe. They are able to actually reach out to attune other human biological vessels so that they can also partake in the sacred vibrations of light, to change their molecular structure, allowing them to follow the energy trace back into other universes and become Adam Kadmon. Let's go to some more confirmation of what I just read. I'm gonna make it more simple because Keys of Enoch be liking to use these fancy words and shit, but I don't be liking to go through all of that to get to what I like. I love the Keys of Enoch for the simple fact that I love science, but I be wanting to reach to a different level. So that's what I was okay. So here is bear with one moment. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to comment 3i Atlas. Before we go here, I'm going to read this scripture again, but I'm going to read it shorter. So the people of God act as the branch of God's family in their own local universe. So you got the people of God as the branch, okay? Now we know from my channel, I did a video, go watch it if you need to. It's called Venus and the Electromagnetic Null Zone. Don't quote me on the title, it's something like that. If you're a follower of mine, you'll see it. It ain't, I don't have a whole bunch of videos, you'll find it. So when we talking about the branch, God's family, the branch, I'm finna show y'all when I talked about what was gonna happen with Venus, when my prophecy for Venus had, when I brought that out then, and now where is that? So where is Comet Atlas? So they say, right? So many different stories range about this comet, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is the mother. And I said this in a video on my Facebook before they announced it, probably the day before. I said the mothership is about to reveal herself, and when she does it, it's going to be done in a level where you're gonna know it's her because she ain't coming alone. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, okay, so I said it and I was talking about how the mothership won't come by itself. We already know this. Keezy Enoch tell you about this, but if you don't know, I'm telling you. 3i Atlas is currently located in the constellation of Virgo. Is it? For some reason, y'all, let me try this again. But for some reason, I was not able to track it down on this website today. I don't know why, but I'ma just tell y'all because I can't remember. I had to like really try a whole bunch of different stuff to find this comment. But let me see. Let me show you something. Let's go to Virgo's constellation. Let me go to Virgo. I'm gonna show y'all where it's at because Stellarium want to give me a hard time. Come forth correctly. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna just tell you since I can't get it to pull up on my media, which I like to use to show y'all. I'm a visual person, so I'm really upset that it won't show up, but that's okay. It's in the branch of Spica, okay? That is where they last track Atlas, 3i Atlas. That's where they last tracked it at, okay? And so if it's in the branch, we know that the branch, I'm going to show y'all what the branch represents. Because okay. So the branch is the promised seed of a woman. Right here it says, the virgin, a woman bearing a branch in her right hand and an ear corn in her left hand, the promised seed of the woman. We know Virgo represents immaculate conception. You got to sit down. But we also know, gotta sit down, mama. But we also know that Virgo is gamma radiation. It is intelligent life force. Period. You know, like it's the simplest way I can put it to you. I can't really give you a visionary of what the mother showed me. This has been something she gifted with me with over time to know about Virgo and the depths. But for those of y'all who don't know, Christ or the coming of the Christos or the Christ is the coming of the union. So you got the mother, the father, and the child, the Christ. Okay. So let's see. So this comment that they calling a comment but ain't a damn comment. And for the reason of like I could show you that for facts because comments don't move at the speed that this has been said to move in and all of those things. So realistically, it's not a comment. We knew that. The moment we heard it, we knew that. But I want to be the one to initiate the truth about it. So it says here, Virgo is represented by the woman, the coming one. Okay, let's see. Don't touch that. She is presented as a woman, but in later prophecies, her nationality is defined as being the stock of Israel, the seed of Abraham. This is, even though we were looking at the literal card that represented Leo, we know there would be no Leo without her. Without the Virgo, ain't no Leo. Okay. So, second. All right. So, generally, this Atlas comment is here to enhance whatever you already are. So if you are a celebrity and you really ain't who you are because you bought it through a script of the falseness or the falsehood who stole the story of the true chosen, guess what? The mask must come off. Okay. No. And so I'm gonna go back into the keys real quick. I just wanted to show y'all that because really I've been seeing this prophecy come forth. But it took a while for it to land in the physical plane as usual. But if you go back and watch my Venus, Virgo, and Immaculate Conception, this is the Immaculate Conception. This is where you're going to physically, literally and directly, like the keys of Enoch say, see it come forth in a physical plane. This is the union. So let's read the last part of the keys of Enoch and then we're gonna close. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm still reading out of the part that I don't have on the screen because I accidentally deleted it. Blame it on my head, not my heart. Okay, so this is where you're gonna get the frequency to attune your physical, biological, geophysical, meaning the earth, the universe, and you. This is how you're gonna get that frequency attuned because you gotta understand this plane that we in is not large enough, nor is it vibrant enough to raise that frequency alone. So we had to thin the veil. Okay, her cervix had to become paper thin enough so that when it was time to push, the baby could come right out. Now, I'm jumping down to verse 22. The promise of ascension and descension is presented to each servant. So you either going to evolve or you're going to de-evolve. When we talk about destruction in a cosmic sense, no, daughter, bring me my makeup back. Sorry, y'all. Thank you. When we talk about destruction in a cosmic sense, it is not the same as what we see down here. Because if your bodies are made of elements, when you consider yourself as de-evolution or de-evolving, those elements are going to be used again. It's the reason why realistically they're supposed to give your body back to the earth when you cross over. But And so the earth will take your body, your ashes to ashes, and dust to dust, and renew it and use it for a different creation. This is all a part of a experiment, okay? But the experiment must have its ascension and descension. Okay. And so it says the promise of ascension and descension presented to each servant of the Father who is able to experience his consciousness being coded directly into living light. And it says here, through the sacred names which brought the non-incarnate Christ into the lower forms of creation and bring your incarnate form of Christ into the body of the Adam Kadmon. I just told you that when I talked about the self, the universe, and the earth. Okay. When you are spiritually prepared to ascend, you add the seal of your breath and you add the seal of your breath by the vibrations of the sacred names into the seal of the body of creation, which you will graduate into and which is continually being built up. This is actually when we all ascend and unite, we together create the throne of God, or what that's the way the Keys of Enoch explained it. Okay. And now I'm gonna jump down to verse 26. It is a cosmic manifestation of the tree of the sacred name, okay, which is continually being separated, seeded, and synthesized so that all limbs can be purified. I just told you, because purified ain't nothing but either regenerated or not, or being reused, okay? So remember, it's the code that the mother gave me. Purified means pure fire. So make the fire clean. Now, when you talk about Three Eye Atlas, if you have looked into the scientific versions of what they're saying this planet is, or this cosmic comet is displaying, it recently just turned green. Started off yellow, turned orange, and now it's green. This is what they're telling us, right? We know green is transformation, but green is also the heart, right? This is evolution. This planet is a place of evolution. I told you, if you spell evolve and love, flipping the letters around, we're talking about the same word, same thing. Okay, and so it's telling you that this quote unquote AI Three Eye Atlas coming down here is a manifestation of what you are going to need to bridge the gap between you and the higher heavens. But hold on, there's something in here I want to talk about a little more. Okay. Oh, okay. So basically, you gonna put that back for me? Put it up. Go put it up. Okay, and so when you think of the ascension and how I told y'all it would be created, right now they're trying to predict if we're gonna go into a solar maximus. If you remember when I did the video about Venus and the electromagnetic node zone, I was talking about how the solar maximus was gonna come when they least expected it. Because when you put both into together, this is where you get the research of the Carrington events. It's a certain way the speed of light has to come in directly from the electrons into our planet's atmosphere in order for this to qualify or classify as that when this event does take place in a physical sense. Or when should we say when the light particles catch up to here, because they move faster than our third dimensional reality. And so it says here, therefore, the tree of life is seeded into the garden through replication, and it's activated through the angelic command of Metatron into the flesh of man, which is multiplied and projected into new heavens. Metatron's name is used as the final seal. So you got one half becoming the creation, one half becoming the destruction. But it's all the good and the bad working together for the same cause. So it says he is the fulfilled, he is the full life cycle between the pillars of light and the higher throne worlds. And the measures, let me see, got my lipstick on. You want to put some lipstick on? Okay, you guys. So it's telling you that um Enoch or Melchizedek Metatron is a high priest. Because I'm gonna tell you something. This is coded. This verse 28. Is this 28? Yeah, this is verse 28. And it says, he is the full life cycle between the pillars of lights and the higher throne worlds and the measures of form in the lower world. That either represents a high priestess or a high priest. Okay. So we know Metatron as a masculine, he would be a high priest. As a feminine, it would be the high priestess. And this is working in between worlds, because we know working between worlds meaning in between the pillars. And then I'm gonna close with this. 36. Understanding the words, his throne is a fiery flame. For now is the hour for the watchers of Zion to lift their eyes to the light of the eternal day and the pillars of light. For these shall open the heavens as a stairway formed by the rays spreading out from the descending triangular pyramid. That descending triangle pyramid is the Trinity, the Mother, the Father, and the Child. And it says, light giving power from the new heavens to the new earth. So this comment is nothing more than the Emerald City. That's the reason it turned green. Period. It's the mother and it is the father. It is the closure of the infinity loop. Okay. I mean, you really can't really get no deeper than that when it comes to this whole thing. So it's like every man to their order. Wherever you come from is where you shall return. And for those that dispute the knowledge of, well, extraterrestrial life, you're about to see that extraterrestrial life has always been amongst you. It is just the activation of their DNA that has been dormant for many moons because the mother was not here as the source to raise the frequency. But as the keys of Enoch just told you, when they do come down here, when them higher intelligent reps come down here, they're coming to change the frequency. This cycle is head by them. This is their experiment. You are in their experimental worlds. And so you don't have to like how the world is being ran around you, but if you are not pushed to do something about it, then you're not a part of the original order. The original order is heart space, intelligent life force, unity, truth, and it's also freedom. And the reality is we've seen that the gamma radiation turns people either one or two ways, like the keys of Enoch tell you. It's going to turn some species more Christ-like, and it's going to turn some species more hostile or more violent. So, welcome to the new day. Everybody that was waiting on this moment is here. Everybody already knew that it was here, but most of us didn't know what it would look like, and you're about to see it. You're about to see the beauty of the actual evolution come forth. And so it shall be. So I'll leave with that, y'all. Sorry you had to deal with all the noise. My daughter, she decided she wanted to have her good time today. She's playing in my makeup right now, as long as it's quiet. But anyways, y'all have a good one. Go ahead and do some more research. Dig into that comment atlas. Before we go, I want to say this is two things. They told us that that comment is showing signs of cyanide, okay? Cyanide, but usually cyanide doesn't come alone, right? And if you look into, okay, let me tell you what they said is that they can't explain about it. They said nickel, cyanide, and massive amounts. They said nickel, cyanide, and massive amounts of carbon is what they're seeing be made up of this planet. So if you want to look at that nickel, we know nickel is 5, right? In the sense of what we see as a nickel in our day-to-day life, right? They give you the change of a nickel, which is 5. So that's code for hierarchy here, the divine transformers, and y'all finna see some shit. Please don't panic. We hope it's not extraterrestrial life, but we can't hold it in no longer. And so I don't really care what the hell y'all feel about me. We finna find out. Have a good one, y'all. Peace and love.